a worldwide movement in Canada. We started it. Against Canada, we are so brave and we punch way above our weight. We are amazing. And it's thanks to all of you coming and supporting and holding the line with these truckers that we're winning so hard. I just want to announce that Janet is over there by the volunteer table, and if you have services you want to provide or time, oh, there she is, Janet. She's in the corner jumping up and down. And so we appreciate your donations, and we appreciate your offerings of time, and shuttle drivers and food cookers and all the amazing things that you are offering us. We're so grateful for all your help. So please go see Janet and offering your services any way you can provide. She is jumping up and down. We have matching toques. I would like to take this opportunity to say with the protesters, all right, we're going to keep it peaceful. We are winning this. We are not going to lose to some losers who are paid to agitate us. It will not affect us. Water off a proverbial duck's back. That's right. Honk with your honkers, but do not engage. Nice, baby. All right, I would like to just we have about 5 minutes before we have some other excellent people coming up to speak, but I want to introduce one of my favorite Instagrammers, Coach Vlad. He's going to take 5 minutes. And he's gonna pump and psych you up. Coach Vlad, come on, baby. All right. He is on the right side of history.
Yes, let's go. Come on, jump. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I'll pass
5,
on the jumping.
6, 7, 8.
When the music
9,
kicks,
and 10.
I'm gonna have to mute out just to make sure that I don't get any copyright infringements.
Who's excited to be alive? Who's excited to be free? Who's excited to be free Canadian? Yes and yes, yes and yes. Let's go. What a time to be alive. Who was here yesterday? My goodness, I think we had more people than even the first Saturday, right? That was incredible, incredible. I think 2 reasons why. One is because the government said we cannot be here, right? So then we're going to have more people showing up. And then the other one is, of course, they declared an emergency, so we definitely have to come and make sure that at least the announcement worth it. But this is what's been happening since day one. If you don't know, I've been part of the freedom movement since May 2020. Even before that, April and March, I was connecting people on social media, bringing people together. And the first comment always people would say when I would add them to the group of like-minded people in April of 2020, they said, oh my God, I can't believe I'm not the only one. That's always what people said, because people thought I'm the crazy one. I'm the black sheep. Nobody else is like me. Look around you. It's incredible to witness humanity rising and like-minded people coming together. You know, black sheep is a concept we all familiar, right? And I'm sure most of you were black sheep with your family. And that all makes sense. Not actually all making sense, right? It's good to have different belief system. It's good to question things, right? You don't want to be part of a normal. It's normal to be part of a rat race and to take heavy medications and only be subdued and compliant and obedient. I don't want to be part of that normal anyway. I want to be crazy, I want to be a kook, I want to be a conspiracy theorist, whatever you want to call me, I don't care. I don't care, and that's really why you guys here. Because regardless of backlash, regardless of hate, you understand, you are different. I remember at the very beginning, in summer of 2020, people were coming to me after I started giving speeches and take leadership roles in terms of organizing this since 2020. People would come and ask me, why so many people are asleep? Why everybody around me just going along with it? And I told them, the better question to ask is not why other people are asleep. Why are you the awakened one? Why are you the chosen one? That's a better question to ask, because you are. We were born for the times like this. You were born for this time like this. Yes. Once you understand the power within you, you become unmovable, unshakable. You become in that lighthouse. You know how the lighthouse is? Lighthouse stands the ground and hold the line. Let's go together. Stand the ground, hold the line. Everybody. Stand the ground, hold the line. Everybody. Stand the ground, hold the line. Stand the ground, hold the line. Yes and yes. The lighthouse shines the light. Regardless of the waves of hate washes over it, it still keeps standing and keeps shining. And the sheep, or the sheep, no pun intended, that are lost in sea, they can come towards you, they can come towards the light of truth and facts. And that's what's really powerful, that you can be that. You can choose to be the man and the woman of influence in your community, in your country, in the world. And that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. We're seeing the Canada literally becoming the spiritual ground zero for the whole world. I'll have to find those clips, and I'm blessed to be channeled, I guess, that I said this in summer of 2020. Canada will be the example of the whole humanity. And look at us now! Look at us now, being powerful, courageous. And if it would be a time for us to make a peaceful revolution, as a Canadian, you have to make it in the coldest month ever. Because we are resilient, we don't care, right? You don't want to do this in the summer, that will not be Canadian. This is a Canadian way. So let's talk about, when you're making posts on social media, there's a couple of hashtags that you want to use to make it go viral so people can connect. One is a peaceful revolution. This is peaceful revolution. And we have to keep it peaceful no matter what. Like I said, like that lighthouse, like that oak tree, where you're just standing in your foundation with deep roots on your principles and conviction, and nothing can shake you, nothing can break you. Be that oak tree. And if you remember, the oak tree, massive oak tree, is made from a little seed, acorn. That's all it is. But that has intelligence to make that oak tree. And you are the same way if you choose to be. When people ask me, what's my superpower? I say, I get to choose how I show up, regardless of life circumstances. Regardless. And the more experiences you have in your life, that's what makes you stronger and more capable and more courageous. And more than anything, please understand, the kids are watching us all. The kids are watching us all. So what kind of example do you want to make with your action? Not with your mouth, not with your words. Because talk is cheap. We all know that. Or if it comes from the government, that the talk is very expensive, right? Because they're wasting money like crazy. It's insane. But again, we have personal power and responsibility. Being a health and life coach for almost 20 years before COVID, what I did is I empowered individuals to take personal responsibility for their health. But now I empower you all to take personal responsibility for freedom in this country. And if we all take that personal responsibility for freedom in this country, it will be free Canada that we all wanted to make. All right? So I want to do an exercise with you, and I'm going to wrap it up. And I thank you so much for your patience and for your attention. Trust me, I don't take this for granted. I take it with a huge responsibility, having a platform of influence on all of you beautiful people. So this is, we're going to do it together. This is underneath Bill of Rights, which is a document signed in 1960 by Premier Diefenbaker. And I would love for you to repeat after me, phrase by phrase, okay? Everybody's ready? Let's do it. I am a Canadian.
I'm a Canadian.
A free Canadian. Free to speak without fear.
Free to speak without fear.
Free to worship God in my own way.
Free to worship God in my own way.
Free to stand for what I think is right.
Free to stand for what I think is right.
Free to oppose what I believe is wrong.
Free to oppose what I believe is wrong.
Free to choose.
Free to choose
Those who shall govern
those who shall govern
my country
my country
this heritage of freedom, I pledge to uphold for myself and all mankind. Give it up for yourself. Can you imagine how amazing our country and our families would be if we read this every day with our kids? That's what I would say for us to do. Because the kids are the future. We are not the main target for this agenda psychopaths. It's our kids. It was always about our kids. So we have to make sure that we can protect all kids. If your kids are blessed to have you as a guardian, amazing. What about other kids? They deserve to have a bright future as well, and not to be experimented, and not to abused. So we have to take that responsibility, guys. So, more than anything, let's choose to make this country glorious and free. This is true north.
All right, I'm going to mute until the next guest. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It'd be greatly appreciated, and share the link.
Introduce this beautiful woman here. We went from Russian 1 to Russian 2. This is Yelena, an artist from Russia. She has 2 quick minutes and she would like to have something to share with you. Come here. Do you want me to hold this for you, dude? Okay, I'll be your microphone. Oh, this microphone.
From Russia with love. I was born in the cultural capital of Russia, St. Petersburg, and I moved to the cultural capital of Canada, Montreal. Canada gave me a great opportunity to exhibit my art. I am so grateful. Now I am in 2 years in the prison. I cannot travel, I cannot exhibit. I have to go to the moon or Mars. I prefer to live here. Yeah. I prefer to live here. My daughter. My daughter forced me to take the vaccine. She cried, Mama, you are going to die. You are an irresponsible person, and I hate you. What I have to tell her? I love you anyway, because parents has to be wiser, clever, and more intelligent than children. I tell her I love anyway. The virus doesn't exist. We see a lot of people without mask and nobody sick except Trudeau. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Can you hug policemen? Because they are jealous. A lot of attention for truckers. And please hug them. It's my art. The ocean represents freedom. The butterfly represents freedom. It's a liberty, love, a lot of love out. It's the center of the world. Right now, it's center of we have to win. We are winning already because we are together. If the doctor doesn't want to be with us, it's his choice. We are together. We are going to win. We win it already. Freedom from Russia with love.
Thank you, Yelena. All right, Jason, my stage manager team. We have some more amazing people to come up right now. Jason, send them on through. We're gonna get this beautiful lady down the stairs. We are winning! holding the line. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, give these boys a warm welcome.
Hello everybody. I'm scared as hell. My name is Mark Foreman, and I was a police officer for 23 years. I'm retired now. I retired in 2019. I worked for the Niagara Regional Police, and obviously I also worked for the RCMP. I made a few videos expressing some feelings a few days ago, just about oaths that I took and things like that. And early Saturday morning I was watching some other people's videos, and I heard Major Stephen Chiglatsky talk. He's a brave man because he's still currently serving from what I understand. I also heard from Corporal Dan Colford, Brian Dennison, Constable Ola Gudosa from the Edmonton Police Service, Retired Staff Sergeant N. Grenier, and I heard a plea from some military vets for other vets to come down here, and your courage as well. I couldn't sit at home and just make a YouTube video and expect you to do all the heavy lifting. So, I wanted to first read something to you. You hold that, I put my glasses on. I'm older now, I need glasses.
Sorry about that.
So because I was a Niagara Regional Police member and a Mountie, I have taken both of these oaths, and I'm going to read them to you. I solemnly swear that I will be loyal to Canada. That's you. And that I will uphold the Constitution of Canada. And that I will, to the best of my ability, preserve the peace, prevent offenses, and discharge my other duties as faithfully, impartially, and according to law. So help me God. The oath of office for the RCMP. I solemnly swear that I will faithfully, diligently, and impartially execute and perform the duties required of me as a member of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And I will well and truly obey and perform all lawful orders and instructions that I receive as such, without fear, favor, or affection of or toward any person. So help me God. There's one more part I'd like to read. It is the statement of objectives of the Code of Conduct of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And this one's very important too. Maintaining the confidence of Canadians in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police is essential. Essential. This tunic has been stained in the past. Officers like myself went to Native reserves and took children from their parents. I'm a parent. I can't imagine how it would have felt. We cannot let that happen again. We are on the top of a very slippery slope. We can't let it go on. I know what's right. I know you know what's right. I had to come here this morning. Early this morning, I was sitting something reached inside my chest. And it felt like I was gonna pop. And I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't hear a voice or anything, it just popped in my head. And I don't care what you think, you roll your eyes at me, but I think it was God. I had to come here and wear this surge on this Parliament Hill because there was nothing more iconic than that flag and this red surge. The entire world recognizes both of those things. And we need to show the world that we're going to lead by example what freedom is. And to all the media outlets out there, if you will not listen to them, listen to me. A retired Mountie. I took an oath. I'll tell the truth. This is not, I have been to riots. I was an ERT officer. I was a TAC troop officer. I've been at riots or protests. I shouldn't have said riot, this is not a riot. I've been to protests. I've never seen a protest like this. I saw kids down the street playing it, and I knelt with them and said hi to them, and they're not scared. There's no fear here. I don't want to take up too much time, but I just want to say to a little bit more the police officers out there, remember, we took an oath to the Constitution. We didn't take an oath to a government. I didn't take an oath to a police chief. I will follow my police chief's orders if they are lawful. So officers, if you truly feel in your heart that your orders are not lawful, then you shouldn't follow them. And I have your back. And all these people have your back. And now there's some people that are way smarter and more important than me that are going to speak next. Thank you for listening. Since she's not here yet, I want to thank my wife. She is in Vancouver. I haven't seen her in 5 months, and I wish she could be here. And I'm so sorry, honey, that you're separated from me and the family. Stay strong. I love you.
Before you leave, don't leave yet. May I speak on everybody's behalf to this gentleman behind me? On behalf of everybody here, and all of those across Canada and the world who are watching, I want to say thank you for standing with us and standing up for us and reminding the other officers of their oath that they took to us. So thank you.
That was Chris, a former guest on my podcast from out west, the Whistle Stop Cafe.
Well, I gotta say, that is a very tough act to follow. Because he mentioned that there's more important people or better speakers that need to speak, and then I have to come up here, and I am arguably the least important person in this entire movement. I'm just a burger flipper. I'm just a guy that owns a restaurant who stood up for himself.
We are important!
So my message today is about social distancing. How many times have you heard that word over the last 2 years? I think those words were very significant, because really what they were trying to make you think was that you needed to physically distance, but they said social distance. And social distancing is an entirely other thing. When you're socially distanced, you're separated from your friends and neighbors. You're isolated. You're made to feel alone. When you speak out and you're made to feel alone, it's scary. Because all you wonder, am I crazy? Does anybody else feel this way? Am I all by myself over here in this little isolated bubble thinking something's wrong? My message to you today is if you're feeling like that, and I'm sure none of you are, but for those that are watching that aren't here, if that's how you're feeling, you are not alone. And what we've seen over the last couple weeks here are men and women from all walks of life, right from the average business owners to the medical advisor to the White House, standing with the truckers. For the last 2 years, it's been building to this point. I've been thinking for the last year after I stood up that, man, we really need something that's going to unite and ignite Canadians and get them to stand up together. I thought it might be the restaurants, then it might be the gyms, then it might be healthcare workers who are getting fired, then it might be police and the military, and it never happened. In drives the trucks with their Jake brakes a-barking. And that's what we needed, to get Canadians out of their homes, onto the streets, looking around and seeing that they're not alone. We're not crazy. We are not crazy as Canadians to think that we should be free. And now we have this monumental occasion where people from all over the world are coming together, and brave men and women are sticking their necks out, and they're speaking up, and they're potentially losing their jobs or appointments or their income to speak up for you and I. You're going to hear from some of those men and women today. And I've had the pleasure of talking with these people for the last, few months or whatever, and I tell you, this is important. There's a man you're going to hear from in a few minutes here, actually. And he's spent a lot of time in that building back there. Yes, they're heroes. These people who are standing with you are backing you. They're standing with the truckers. They're showing the science. The science supports the truckers. The law supports the truckers. We support the truckers. Canada supports the truckers. And the world supports the truckers.
Right.
Now is the time that Canada gets to shine. Canadians get to shine. We get to stand up for one another. We get to speak for one another. We get to lead by example, doing things like this that we should have done the whole time. And if you still feel alone, if you still feel like you have to toe the line for the government, listen to the people who are about to speak, because they're going to give you the information, all of the backing you need to stand on your own 2 feet and say, the science supports me as a free Canadian, the Charter supports me as a free Canadian, and I am a free Canadian! So, it's with great pleasure that I introduce to you a wonderful Canadian, an absolutely brilliant man. Which one?
Excuse me. Sorry, can I just get in here? Do you mind?
And a very good friend of mine. I've had the privilege of sharing the stage with this man on multiple occasions, and I am honored and humbled to introduce to you Dr. Roger Hodkinson.
Hello, Ottawa! Hello, truckers! Hands up for freedom! We are unstoppable! Because we've already won! It's just that someone doesn't realize it yet. We've sealed this country, border crossings from coast to coast, a harbour blockaded, and more to come. Because you know what? Any of you with kids, you can never win at whack-a-mole. You bash one down here and two pop up there. They've lost. Why am I here? I'm not really a pathologist, I'm a fraud. I'm actually just a pancake flipper. And we have another one to introduce shortly too. No, you know my credentials, I'm not going to labor that. What I am going to labor is things that you've heard before, but it bears repeating. You lot are the lab rats. That's not the way medicine works. It's never been done before. Introducing a vaccine that is unneeded, untested, killing people, and doesn't work. Does that sound like a failure to you? Yeah. Testing. No testing should happen anywhere. I'm talking as a pathologist now, okay? With authority. No testing should happen anywhere for any reason. None. The only place you should get tested is if you go to hospital and you've got symptoms that could be COVID. That's the only place where testing should take place. Because if you test everyone that's asymptomatic, you get so many false positives, it's ridiculous. And it causes contact tracing and businesses being shut down because there's no one to man the desk. That's what happens with asymptomatic testing. In previous rallies in Alberta, I've asked one question for the crowd to show how bad this situation is. I want you all, after I've asked the question, to put up your hand if you think you qualify. Anyone here who knows of someone who has had a vaccination and shortly thereafter gets a serious problem by, no wait, stop, which means a heart attack, a pulmonary embolus, or a stroke, not just a sore arm. Put up your hand. Okay, now look around, everyone. Look around. Look around at the number of arms that go up. Look at it. Does that look like a rare event to you? Very, very serious medical problems. There's a major kill going on right now, aided and abetted by the very colleges that are supposed to protect you from me. That was their role. Instead of that, they become co-conspirators in state-sanctioned murder. And that is unacceptable. Especially when our most precious asset, our children, are put on the line for something they don't need. They're being injected with stuff that can kill them, and that has to stop. So enough of me. You've got to hear some more important people. And there's one man here that represents, he's a Canadian icon, a brave man, one of the first, maybe the very first, to stand up and be counted and risk being kicked out of his party, a true Canadian patriot. We don't have enough of those. We've seen Max Bernier here, and we've got Randy Hillier. Come up here, Randy. Randy is another pancake flipper. But he told me in the lineup here that he doesn't know flip on principle. He's a man of principle. Randy Hillier.
Thank you, Roger. Roger's been a pleasure getting to know you, and this last 2 years been a little dark, been very dark, but there's been one great silver lining, and that is all the wonderful, marvelous Canadians that we've met over this last 2 years. And Roger is one of those fellas. And yes, we were flipping pancakes this morning. I don't think there's many left over now, but it's much nicer flipping pancakes and flipping policies like Justin Trudeau and the boys behind us. But I want to say, seeing what has happened in Ottawa makes us all proud. Makes us all to be proud of being Canadian once again. proud and free Canadians once again. And I was looking at what has happened over the last week, and I was contrasting that with what our politicians have been doing over the last 2 years. We've seen Justin Trudeau having our flags at half-mast. He's turned off our eternal flame of freedom on Parliament Hill. For 2 years, Justin Trudeau and our premiers have been wanting us to live in fear and danger. They've wanted us to be ashamed of who we are as Canadians. That's what they've been doing, having our flags at half-mast. And then I thought to those brave veterans who saw an unlawful obstacle preventing us from being at our cenotaph and war memorial. And they took it down. They're real Canadians. They didn't wait for direction. They didn't wait for permission. They took down an unlawful obstacle for us to pay respects to their men and women of valor who fought in the past for our freedoms. So thank you, vets, and go out there every day at 1 o'clock and say hello to them. And I saw our blue-collar convoy of work trucks and construction workers, tradesmen, coming into Ottawa today. And then the other night, when the police moved into Coutts, Alberta, to take away that blockade, and the men and women of Canada stood tall, stood strong, linked arms, and they told, just by their posture, just by their faces, that the police weren't coming any farther. The police weren't coming any farther. And the police knew it. And I gotta say, it was so nice to see Mark here in the red surge, because there is a surge in Canada, a surge of freedom. A surge of freedom is happening. But I have to say, you know, when we saw the truckers mobilizing, getting ready to come to Ottawa, going great distances, and all Canada stood on the overpasses, waved their flags, and welcomed the truckers and the convoy as they were coming to Ottawa. And there was a great outpouring of exuberance, of energy, of hope. And that's really what the truckers delivered to Ottawa. That convoy delivered hope, not just to Ottawa. They delivered hope to Canada. And they delivered hope to the world. Canadian truckers, go the distance, and we'll be with them that whole distance. They will not be going home until they take a load of freedom back to their families. Stay strong. Stand tall. The surge of freedom is here, and it can't be stopped. But in this surge of freedom, we've had a great surge of support from police. Many police are helping us. Military, doctors. And I want to introduce another wonderful fella that I met during that 2 years of darkness. Another wonderful fella, a smart fella. A fella who has advised the White House on pandemics. A fella who has, well, his credentials are impeccable. He's Dr. Paul Elias Alexander is here with us. So give a good welcome for Dr. Paul Alexander.
It looks like we're running behind here.
With us. He is part of the surge of freedom in our country and the world. Thank you.
I'm going to try and stick it out. I think the next two speakers are the main speakers.
Let's give it up for the Canadian trucker.
Yeah, there he is.
What they did not understand is that the trucker rules the world. Look, I have to start by saying thanks to the police. We cannot forget the great job the police did in a difficult position. We have to work with them. Let's give it up to the police. We have Premier Pickford coming, so I can't take too long. But I want to talk to you today for the first time in a way that you never heard it said to you before. We, Hodkinson, myself, Brittle, Peter McCullough, Robert Malone, we work together daily to go through the science and understand it. We understand what happened here. We knew that in February 2020 that COVID was amenable to risk stratification. We told them, do not lock the society down. We told them to use an age risk stratified approach, that we could use focused protection, that we could take care of the vulnerable in society, protect, double down, triple down, protect the vulnerable, take care of granny in the nursing home, take care of granny in your home, but do not lock the society down. Allow the low risk, middle-aged, young, infant persons in society to live largely unfettered lifestyles with no touch from the government. Leave them alone, and we would have been through this in 2 months, but they did not listen, and they locked us down. And the federal government of Canada, the provincial government of Canada under Doug Ford killed Ontarians. People died because of Doug Ford's policies. They lied to you. They lied to you. I know the science. They lied with asymptomatic transmission. There is no such thing ever. They lied to you about recurrent infections. There is no such thing with COVID. We studied the data. There is no such thing. They lied about the PCR test. The PCR test is a flawed test. There's a 95% false positive rate. All those people, all those children they took out of schools, all those people, they closed businesses for the last 2 years. They were never infected. They were false positives. It was a lie. They lied to you when they told you that this vaccine was better than your natural immunity. That is the biggest load of bull ever. There is no vaccine. No vaccine can supersede natural immunity. None, ever. They lied to you. They lied to you when they told you that you were at equal risk of severe outcome. Never. How could 10-year-old Johnny be at the same risk of severe pathology as 85-year-old granny with 3 underlying medical conditions? They lied to you so you could lock down in fear and wait of these failed vaccines. They lied. Everything was a lie. Hodkinson is correct. It was a lie. And today, they are trying to push on you a vaccine that has failed. We understand the data. Howard knew. Theresa Tam, call Byron Brittle, call me, call Hodkinson, any day, any time. Let us school you on the data because the vaccine has failed. The vaccine has not only failed, we understand you needed 12 to 15 years to bring this vaccine to arm. They brought it in 3 to 4 months. We are vaccinating people with a vaccine that does not work. I need you to understand. I said I'm going to tell you something that you didn't hear told you before. You are being vaccinated with a vaccine that could not work. It is based on the initial strain of this virus of February, March 2020. We are in February of 2022. The Omicron, the Wuhan strain,
was gone a year ago. The vaccine has failed and they know this, but they're still pushing this dangerous crap vaccine on you. Do not under any condition let them put this vaccine into your child's arm. You can kill your children with these vaccines. Look, it's a terrible situation. They locked us down and we told them the lockdowns was killing people. They didn't listen. They responded by hardening the lockdowns. They locked us down harder. We told them children were committing suicide. They were hanging themselves. I know. I got the report from the States, the United States. Little 6-year-old children were found in their parents' rooms hung. They were dead. They couldn't take it anymore. But people like Doug Ford, people like Trudeau didn't care. They have the most inept, incompetent, non-consequential public health people making policies. They have no idea what they're doing. They should be fired.
Yes!
And we told them, do not touch our police. We said, do not touch the military. Do not put these vaccines in their arms. The police of Canada, the police of the military, I pray for them every night because I cannot say what their position will be in 2 years. The police, they have been misguided by the public service here. I pray for them. Let's pray for our police and military because we could have harmed them, and I need them to understand it. Do not under any condition take a booster from these vaccines.
Yes!
Anyway, I know I have a giant to follow. That's Premier Pickford. He is the last surviving member who signed the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And we want him up here because none of us here can deliver to you what you need to hear. So I want to depart now by saying, long live the Canadian trucker.
If you're enjoying the feed, please share.
Let's give it up to probably one of the greatest Canadians alive today, Premier Brian Pickford.
And a subscribe would be appreciated. Here we go. This is amazing. What I've been waiting for. Share it out.
You just heard the science of medicine. I'm going to try to give you now the art of politics.
Yes!
First of all, I want to acknowledge Mahatma Gandhi. I want to acknowledge Nelson Mandela. I want to acknowledge Martin Luther King, because they are all heroes in the fight for freedom, for individual rights and freedoms. Today, when I woke up this morning, two things came in my mind as a way to fuse this issue to make it successful. And the two issues are, one, we still have not pursued all of our options in the courts. Two, how do we influence the courts? Because they have changed from the days when I was a premier to becoming more inclined to agree with the latest fad that's on the go. Well, let us be their latest fad and let us influence them through the truckers, so at the end of the day, they will restore our Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Yes!
This is a very, very important concept that Gandhi understood, that King understood very, very well. And it's the concept of civil disobedience, which must influence our body politic and must influence our laws. That's what we're down to now, and that's why the truckers and this gathering today and the many gatherings that will follow it are so important. We now have to depend upon the people. I had a campaign manager years ago who used to say, there's wisdom in the crowd.
Yes!
And now there's got to be super wisdom in the crowd, because we must influence individually and collectively, the government and the judiciary of this country to re-establish the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that we intended it to be in 1982. Don't forget that the Constitution is not a federal law. The Constitution is not a provincial law. The Constitution is not a little puny municipal bylaw. The Constitution is the supreme law of Canada. Nothing comes above the Constitution, and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is a part of that Constitution. And your individual rights and freedoms are in that Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Section 2, freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, freedom to associate.
Yes!
Freedom to assemble.
Yes!
The right to move and travel anywhere in Canada or leave Canada, Section 6.
Yes!
I have a lawsuit out against the federal government.
Woohoo!
Because they won't let me travel across the country. They won't let me travel across my own land. And Section 7 says what? The right to life, liberty, and the security of the person.
Preach.
Security of the person means you don't put any jab on me unless I agree.
Yes!
Hey Cameron, hey Luke, hey Susie.
And then Section 15, oh, the glorious Section 15. Every Canadian is equal under the law. That's the Canadian in Prince Rupert. That's the Canadian in Iqaluit. That's the Canadian in Niagara. And that's the Canadian in Bonavista. We're all equal Canadians under the law.
Yes!
And what is happening today is that our leaders have forgotten. They're looking at the Constitution if it was just another bylaw or another program or another policy. They can't distinguish between the glue that keeps the country together versus a law which they can change any day of the week. They can't see the difference between a Constitution and an ordinary law. That's the problem they have. I'm going to have to bring them all back to school.
Yes!
They don't seem to understand that the Constitution enshrines the permanent values of a nation. They're not to be changed by the whim of this Parliament or that Legislative Assembly. They got it all wrong. I guess it's because they only changed the Constitution once since 1867, and that was in 1982. They don't seem to understand the difference. And when I explain it to people, that we're talking about something that's highly elevated, way above all of the other laws, they start to get it. They start to understand that we're talking about something completely different. That's why you're here today. That's where there's an unease in the country. Because everybody knows there's something wrong. There's something rotten in the state of Denmark. There's something not right with this country when you have your rights and freedoms being dismissed with no science behind it, as Dr. Alexander will tell you, or Dr. Hodkinson will tell me. They have no leg to stand on. Their policies today are all on a hill of sand, which is going to erode under their feet.
Yes!
So what is our challenge today, and what is our challenge tomorrow as Canadians who support this cause? Our challenge is this, is that we must sustain this protest. We must sustain the civil disobedience. Long after the mandates are gone, nothing has changed until we win in the courts and re-establish the Charter. It's all about the Charter.
Yes!
Hey Chetza, no problem.
So I want you to repeat after me, the Charter.
The Charter!
The Charter.
The Charter!
The Charter.
The Charter!
And one more time, the Charter.
Thank you! Thank you!
2 years ago, listen to me for a couple more minutes. 2 years ago, my wife and I had a decision to make. We have been a part of all the traditional parties since we were teenagers, right? Like a lot of you people. And there came a time when we couldn't look ourselves in the mirror anymore at any of the traditional parties. And so we decided, consciously, knowing what we were doing, that we were going to break ranks with the traditional parties and become part of the People's Party of Canada.
There's Bernier right there.
And we did that, and then we followed the leader around until we found them in a park in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, on the campaign trail, and introduced ourselves to them, and then organized in our city for him and his candidate. And I have not been disappointed one step of the way since that time. It's the only party and the only leader in Canada that stood up. He went to jail on your and my behalf.
Yes.
And therefore, I have a new leader. I have a new political leader. And I want to introduce him to you, Maxime Bernier. I'm very sorry to interrupt, gentlemen, but we have something very important. There's a little boy missing. His name is Thomas, right? He's 5 years old, and I'm going to let his sister describe. Thomas, if you can hear my voice, I want you to look up in the air and look for a Canadian flag and walk that way. And anybody out there, if you see a little boy, help him get to the stage and we'll get him back to his parents. So could you please describe what your brother's wearing?
He's wearing a green, neon green and black hat, and then he's got a green and black kind of checkered coat. He's wearing glasses.
Okay, so before we get going anymore, that's priority number one. We need to find this little boy and get him back to his family, okay? So,
Yeah.
We found him just like that. Hey-oh! Hey! That's fast. That's awesome.
you know, it just goes to show we're stronger together, aren't we?
Right.
So I'm going to reintroduce someone who's become a friend of mine. His name is Maxime Bernier, and I hear that he's doing something in politics. So I'm going to let him explain to you. Thanks, Maxime.
Hey, hello everybody!
Hey!
Oh my God, it's a cold day, it's a nice day, it's a freedom day today.
Yes!
And you are here today because you know, it's not about how to fight a virus anymore. It's about the kind of society that we want to live. And is it a society where the government controls everything? No. Is it a society when you control your own life? Yes. Yes. It's a society when you are free, where you are free and responsible, when the government will respect you and respect our Charter of Rights, respect our freedoms. It's the kind of a society that we want. So the question is, freedom over government control. We choose freedom. We choose freedom. The freedom to work where we want to. The freedom to go to church.
Yes.
The freedom to travel across our country without any vaccine passport. The freedom to be able to open our businesses when we want to. The freedom to stay at home if we want to. the freedom to be able to change things like we are doing right now today. And I'm so proud to be a Canadian. And I want, yes, to thank our truckers and every one of you that are here today, peacefully. And yes, we may not respect some regulations, but that's okay, because all these regulations are unconstitutional, and we have the right.
Yes, absolutely.
We have the right to be here and stay here until we have an answer from them over there, these establishment authoritarian politicians. And the message is clear. Enough is enough. We will go on. Yes, we will go on when you will respect our rights and freedom.
Subscribe's appreciated and feel free to share.
Et j'aimerais remercier les camionneurs de partout à travers le Canada qui nous donnent espoir et qui font en sorte que nous allons retrouver nos droits et libertés. Parce que la question la plus importante, c'est pas comment faire pour vaincre un virus, c'est de faire en sorte de garder notre société comme on le veut avant COVID-19, une société libre et démocratique. C'est ça la question et c'est pour ça qu'on est ici. Et le message pour M. Legault au Québec, le message pour tous les autres premiers ministres à travers le Canada et pour M. Trudeau, oui, nous allons rester ici jusqu'au moment où vous allez répondre à notre demande. Et la demande elle est simple, respectez nos droits et libertés et après ça on va retourner à la maison. Liberté! 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 Et nous gagnons la bataille pour reconquérir notre liberté. Parce que maintenant, la pression vient de partout. À l'intérieur du Canada, grâce à nos camionneurs et grâce à vous. À l'extérieur du Canada ou dans d'autres juridictions, ils ont laissé tomber leur mandat et leurs obligations vaccinales. Et je vous dis, merci de mon cœur, merci beaucoup, parce qu'avec vous, nous gagnons cette bataille-là. Et oui, nous allons retrouver notre pays fier et libre. Et restez forts et battez-vous toujours pour vos croyances. Et je l'ai toujours dit, la vérité va finir par triompher. Et là, la vérité triomphe. Les médecins ici nous ont dit la vérité sur le virus. Nous savons qu'il n'y en a plus de pandémie. Et maintenant, on regagne nos libertés, une à une. Merci à vous tous. Liberté!
He said liberty and all a bunch of good stuff.
And I will end with that quote from John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy said that in 1962, in the long history of the world, only few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its maximum hour of danger. You are that generation. This is your role, and now is the time. Freedom will win. Freedom. 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 Thank Thank you, everybody. Freedom.
Freedom! 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 Liberté! 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 Liberté!
Well, that's what most people were waiting for right there. Bernier to say his piece. Oh, sorry about that.
Can I just say one last thing, please?
So I'm going to make my way out here. Thank you for sticking around for the live stream. If you enjoyed it, I'd love a subscribe. That'd be fantastic. Share the link. I'll walk out with you for a little bit. I don't have one of those really fancy thingamajigs that stop everything from bouncing, so it's not going to be the nicest. But I'll just walk you out of the Capitol right here, out of the downtown core. Give you an idea how busy things are. I'll do my best to keep it straight. Hey, no problem, Carrie. So awesome to have people taking advantage and watching. I mean, if there was one person that really wanted to hear this feed today and they weren't able to make it, and I was able to provide it, then it was well worth me getting frostbite. I can't feel my feet. That was like non-stop. I thought maybe I was gonna have to press pause for music, all that kind of stuff, but it was just speaker after speaker. They're about an hour behind, so I apologize that the end wasn't at the beginning. But it is what it is. See our veterans here. It's amazing. It's busy. Like yesterday was ridiculous busy. And people were out on the streets until the early morning hours. And there was a lot of people that were here from yesterday by the sound of the noise in the crowd when they were asking like who was here the other day. So there's a high turnover. There's some people that are here from yesterday, and at the same time a whole bunch of people that just came today that probably weren't here yesterday, which is fantastic. Hey, thanks Janet, I appreciate it. Yeah, some hot paws are probably a good idea. Like, it's crazy when people talk about this protest. Like, it's one thing just to have a protest, right? And then second, to have a protest of this size, and then thirdly, to have a protest in the dead of winter, and it's just about as busy at night as it is during the day. So people are committed to whatever the cause is, right, for them, whether it's they just want freedom as a whole, right, or maybe there's a lot of elements that don't even affect them day to day, right, but they want that freedom for other people. There's a lot of people here that are vaccinated, and they just want to be able to live a normal life with their friends and get past all this divide. And that's really what's going on here. It's the divide. I personally don't care about going to restaurants and movies and all those other things. What I'd like to see for everybody is like no more fracture in the society that we have today, because it's going to take a while to heal the wounds as is, you know?
Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh, I don't... Mitch in the house. How you doing there, Mitch? It's amazing. Boys and girls in blue. Thank you for your service, guys. They're from all over, the police, and I've spoken to a lot of police throughout the couple of times that I've been here, and they all say wonderful things in regards to the way that they've been treated. And I have a member of the police force in my family. Elgin Street. You have the Chateau Laurier. I should have stopped and taken a look at some of the pretty things over on the locks and stuff like that. I don't do this too often, so I apologize. And I'm trying not to steamroll kids while I walk by. So I'll take you by the party that seems to be happening all the time right around Mackenzie and Rideau. It's like non-stop. There's free food. There's always music playing. Just a fantastic vibe. How's the picture? Is it okay? Is it somewhat stable, or is it like super bouncy? Signs. Walk you right through. Good. There we go. A whole bunch of cans of apple juice. Thanks, brother. Take you right down the middle. I'll turn around and beautiful shot of downtown. God, it's such a beautiful city. How you doing? Oh, the trucks. All right, I'm just going to mute out for a second. All right, I had to turn off the music right there because when I walk by, it might give me a copyright infringement for the music that's playing in the background, and then it makes me take down the video. So I wanted to make sure that the video stayed up for people down the road. So I'm walking outside of the, I guess would be the epicenter of the convoy and the protests, and I'm gonna put this phone down and warm up my fingers. I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the content. Give it a like and share it around. It helps me grow. And if you didn't know, I'm also a podcaster, and check out the channel and you'll actually see some interviews with a couple of people that were up on the stage, including Maxime Bernier. Thanks for tuning in. You take care, be well, and love simply because you can.